I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Burn again, burn again, burn again. ABCs.
Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where I repeat the same opening line every week, telling you that we discuss every Bare Naked Ladies song from 7 to Y. And even though the Bare Naked Ladies are us, already covered this song, we're going to discuss it too.
I feel like hasn't this been done before, Tracy?
Oh, it's all been done.
It's been totally discussed before. And there's another BNL podcast out there too, but I can't remember the name of their podcast.
It's called It's All Been Done.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
So coming back to join us, if you haven't already guessed, we have her here again this week, the one and only Allison McBride, the pop culture anthropologist.
Everyone.
Woo!
Hey, Allie. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hi, Allie.
And having joining us again this week, as every week, at least as often as I can, I have Jeff and Aaron. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone.
And
Good
if
to be here.
you up on our really dumb jokes that I love to throw out there, this week we will be discussing It's All Been Done. If you've never heard this song before, here is a quick snippet.
I met you before the fall of Rome, and I bet you to let me take you home. You were wrong, I was right. You said goodbye, I said goodnight. It's all been done.
So this was often an opener for this tour, but Aaron, which tour was it? Which album was this on?
So, this is one of the small selection of BNL songs that I was actually aware of prior to going on this journey with you guys. The sound is bright and upbeat. It's polished rock. I was thinking either Stunt or Maroon, but I definitely remember this song was a thing in the 90s, so it's got to be Stunt.
You got it.
Nice job, Aaron.
Yeah, sussed it out.
This was the second single off this album. This was the band's highest charting song in Canada over 1 week. And that hit number 1 in Canada. It only hit number 6 here in the US for some reason. Not quite sure why. I guess 1 week was still on the charts probably at that point or something. I don't know.
Plus, it had all been done before at that point.
Well, so this is a Steven song. We start the album off with an Ed song, followed up by a Steven song. Good way to kind of go here. This was one of the first couple songs, this one and I'll Be That Girl, that were written for Stunt. And Steve said this came out really easily, almost like he'd done this all before. Yeah, that was Jeff's thing, saying that was a...
That's Statler and Waldorf on line 1.
Well, I do remember very specifically in the liner notes for the greatest hits. This always kind of stuck out with me. He had said he had been listening to Brian Wilson and said, "Wow, that chorus was really wordy. There was so much thrown in there." He wanted to do a song where it was basically woo hoo hoo.
He accomplished it. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
Now you may know this song. Some people were actually brought to this band and brought to this song not through the normal channels that we would think of, like hearing it on the radio, but actually through playing it on a video game, because it was actually part of the soundtrack and the opening songs for the introduction songs for the 2002 NHL video game. And since 2008, the Detroit Red Wings have been playing this at their home games.
Is that the same NHL video game that Wizard of Magic Land is in, or is that next year?
No, I think that was a little bit later.
Wait a minute, did I mess up my weeks? Hold on. I had 2 facts this week, and I had one job. I got my one job mixed up between the 2 weeks. Hold on. I sent myself 2 emails about this today.
No, it's weird that you mentioned that though, because I got into BNL because of Wizard being played on the NHL game. That was my intro to BNL.
That was the fact. So I gotta save onto that for next week. Yes, I wrote that down for the wrong week. I apologize.
I was gonna say, like, it's a great song, but it seems like an odd choice to open up a hockey game with.
Yeah, hockey, like a little too like.
Reference I was supposed to name was also the opening intro for a TV show that was on TV for only 1 season and a really short season called Baby Blues.
I actually knew that one.
I've never heard of that. Leave it to the cultural anthropologist here, or the pop culture anthropologist.
It's based on a comic.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm trying to look up the name of the comic off the top of my head, and
it's Baby Blues. I think it's Baby Blues is the comic in the show.
And Allie, you are right. It was the 2002 NHL was definitely Wizard. So.
I have definitely seen that comic before. That art style looks very familiar. I just googled it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was very shortly on TV, but yes, it was also called Baby Blues in the comic strips. They changed it up.
I think it still lasted longer than the BNL show, though.
That's true.
Actually made it onto TV. It was on the WB for, I think, 8 episodes. It wins. It had a great cast.
By about 8 episodes.
So it had Julia Sweeney, Nicole Sullivan, Diedrich Bader, and Mike O'Malley. So, I mean, stellar cast. Unfortunately, it didn't stay on the air for very long, but a BNL song as the introductory song is amazing.
Right, because no other show has done that. Yeah, they have done that before. I believe there's a pretty big show with a BNL theme song.
They did that later, not before. But
No.
You're listening to the Pedantic Hour.
Now, if you recognize this song, we're going to be coming back to this, not this song, but a very similar sounding song a year from now, which was also used for a movie, which is One Little Slip.
One Little Slip, Chicken Little, Disney. That's yeah. No, I was just we won't go there.
No, well, and the reason why, and I'll cut this out, but I'll come back to it with One Little Slip, is they came to BNL for Chicken Little. They're like, we like this song, It's All Been Done, but it doesn't fit our movie. Can you do something kind of like this song for our movie? And so literally Ed was like, okay, well, let's see. I'll just keep exactly the same chord structure and almost exactly the same song, and we're just going to put words to it that fit this movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was probably the least amount of effort into a song they've ever done.
Well, and that's funny because Steve's on this, it's a solo credit for him.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think One Little Slip's a solo credit.
It ought to be at least a Steve credit, if not at least a combined credit, because it should not be a totally Ed credit.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Oh, it comes up first in the Disney Wiki. Apparently, there's a Disney Wiki, and that's
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but this song was played in the 2008, and since then in NHL for the Detroit Red Wings at their games at their home arena.
It's All Been Done or Magic?
This song. I don't know why, but it's true. I did have that one correct in my notes.
If we're talking BNL and TV, I also have a vague recollection of Call and Answer being in an episode of Felicity. But that's a...
I could look that up. Just remind me.
I'm pretty... Yeah, if we're talking about appearances, I'm pretty sure Call and Answer was in a Felicity episode.
I could verify that, but I think if I do it right now, like, it's going to take me a little bit of time.
It was, 1 week was in the beginning of 10 Things I Hate About You.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of their music that has been used throughout, like, movies in bits and pieces here and there.
I gotta go back and check that out now because I love that movie.
Yeah, right at the beginning. That's like,
yeah,
and then he gets cut off with the with Joan Jett.
Right. Okay.
Now the problem is that if you look online for Bare Naked Ladies and the soundtracks, you're not going to find anything. You have to look them up separately as Kevin Hart, Stephen Page, and Ed Robertson.
I did get confirmation, by the way. The Call and Answer was in the Felicity Senior Year soundtrack, which how I remember that, I don't know at all, but that has stuck in my brain apparently. What song are we talking about again?
We're talking about It's All Been Done. We keep veering off the track, but I'm going to bring us back like I do every week. There is another version of this. There is the iTunes original version of this. It's much louder on the keys, and Tyler's doing some different stuff on the drums. But unlike the rest of the iTunes originals, there's no real backstory with this song at all. Like they're talking about other stuff from their past, and they don't really get into this song and where it came from, which is a little disappointing.
So I'm not sure. Are you familiar with? Well, I guess one of you, I forgot which one was it. Aaron mentioned that he wrote it because he thought the chorus of Brian Wilson was too wordy.
Yeah, Jeff talked about that.
Jeff.
Sorry. And I feel like he elaborated at one of the Live from Home shows about, that he just felt like basically he had written everything. I mean, it's kind of almost like self-explanatory, like you feel like it's done. But I would have really liked to know, like, why he took that, like, the whole structure of the, the past, present, future, like, with this particular song.
Yeah, the choices that he made with the storytelling, that aspect of it, which we'll get into with.
I'm sure we'll get into that with lyrics, but there's some really interesting theories about this song.
Yeah,
like some of the theories about the song are really cool.
So before we do that, though, I do want to put in a quick clip right here because we got to talk, including you, Jeff. Aaron and Jeff and I got to talk to Andy a while back. And in talking with Andy, he did give us the answer to a question that everyone has always wondered about what Natasha, his wife, actually says in this song when she puts in her little clip. I'm going to put that in right here.
Your wife actually was on one of the albums. Yes. So your wife said something in French on It's All Been Done.
Correct.
And Steven says he doesn't know what she says. Do you know what she said?
Yes, I do. I remember.
But he's not saying.
No, I'll tell you, but it's a story. First of all, she almost gets more royalties for that than I get from Bare Naked Ladies, which is funny. Like she gets performance royalties for talking to the phone, saying one thing. Anyway, I remember Jim. We were in studio. Jim called me up. We were in our Montreal apartment. He said, "Yeah, Andy, how's it going? Yeah, hey, Jim. Can you pass the phone to Natasha?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Okay. So she's like, "Hello." And so basically, they said, "Can you say something like in French, like something like you're tired of this, or you're just kind of." So she tried different things, and the thing that she ended up saying is "Je suis tanné," and she said it quite fast, "Je suis tanné," and it's really hard to hear. Even we show it to our kids, and I was like, I can't really hear that. It's so tough. But it's that's what she's saying, "Je suis tanné," which means I'm tired of this, or I'm fed up, or I'm sick of it.
Now, where in the song is that? Like you said, it's hard to hear.
It's right after I think the bridge. When you up and say, and then there's a little moment there.
If I play the same 3 chords, will you just yawn and say?
Okay.
In that, if you listen, I can't remember if it's on the left or the right, but it's in there, and you can hear the sound of someone speaking on the phone.
So right after what you just yawn and say, basically, yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And then she says, "Je suis tanné," which means I'm just fed up. I've had it.
When we come up on that song, I'm going to make sure I post that in right there so we can hear it.
So is she Quebecois, or does she just happen to speak French?
She's a francophone from New Brunswick.
Okay.
So they don't consider themselves Quebecois; they consider themselves Acadian.
Acadian, that's correct. Yeah.
So it's a long history in the Maritimes where they had a colony in Nova Scotia, and then there was something called the deportation that happened at one point. So there's a lot of French people in Massachusetts, even Maine, and down in Horse, and there's the connection with the Acadian, and that's where Cajun comes from, Acadien.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's all connected to the Francophones that lived in Nova Scotia.
I want to talk a little bit about the music. I was going to break down the music, but I mean, it's basics. Except for we have Steven on acoustic and electric guitars, and we have Ed also doubling up on acoustic and electric guitars in this song. Everyone else is playing their typical instruments for this song.
How appropriate.
Not a lot. So not a lot to add with that. So Aaron, would you mind breaking this down for us?
All right, let's break it down. It's All Been Done.
Break it down.
Was written in the key of D major. The album recording is somewhere between 131 and 132 beats per minute most of the time. Again, I love these songs which aren't recorded to a click track because I really like the idea that you can express dynamics in terms of tempo as well as volume. The introductory section is the same as the chorus section. Sorry, not the chorus, the verse, as far as the changes are concerned. So you have D to G to E minor 7 to A, and that repeats. That's the verse section. And then we have something that I'm going to go ahead and make a bold proclamation and call this a pre-chorus. Now, that's when they say you were right, I was wrong, you said goodbye, I said goodnight. Now, I could see the case for this just being the second half of the verse, especially since the lyrics do change. But it feels so different and it feels so transitional. I'm going to go ahead and call this the pre-chorus section, which is D to A sharp to B minor back to D. And then finally you go from D down to G, so you get the 5-1 or 1-5, I guess in this case, to It's All Been Done, where you have G, B minor, G, D, G, E minor, A. And the nice thing is it bounces back and forth from the G back to different chords, which I think is emblematic or maybe programmatic of what's going on here with the lyrics. So the structure is you have the intro, which is the verse changes. You have the verse 1, you have the chorus. Oh, I forgot the bridge. The bridge is D to B minor to D to G to A to B minor. And then he talks about the same 3 chords, which a lot of this song is like DGA. It is very classic, kind of upbeat rock. But anyway, so you have the verse or intro changes. Then you have verse 1, pre-chorus, chorus. Verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus. You go back from the bridge right into the chorus. Then you have a guitar solo over the verse changes, which is your A changes. Verse 3, pre-chorus, chorus, and then another chorus, and you're the outro just kind of vamps on the chorus changes. So we have, I'm going to call this an A, B, C, D, C, A, B, C structure. It's probably simplified quite a bit if you count what I'm counting as the pre-chorus is just part of the verse. But I like that section so much. I think it deserves to be counted as its own section. It's really my favorite part of the song.
I'd agree with you, though. I would call it a pre-chorus.
Yeah.
I definitely would.
Because it feels so, it's like, okay, here we are, we're transitioning now into the chorus. That's what it feels like to me. And yeah, it's my favorite part of the song. There are some lovely vocal harmonies throughout the song, and I really like the descending organ line on the chorus. Dee 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 dee. It's really nice. I don't know. There's just a lot to like here.
We'll add on to that the ooh la las, which I think are fantastic on this part. Yeah, the ooh la la la. Yeah.
The music video has some interesting moments, like adjusting the EQ when the camera goes into the fishbowl to make it sound like it's underwater, which is kind of a bold move because, as an audiophile, it kind of made me cringe a little, even though I liked the effect. It was like, oh no, I want to hear the song properly.
We'll go there.
Okay.
For a second, I think we all have thoughts about this video.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let our guests start off. Allie, what are your thoughts on the video for this?
What is this even? Like,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I remember the first time I saw this video, I got the Bare Lake Nadies, the DVD of all their videos, and It's All Been Done was like the first BNL song when I got into them. Like that was like really into at 13, 14. I loved this song, and I'm watching the videos and I'm so excited, and I get to this video and I'm like, what? Just yes, that DVD right there. It's. I know that they've said very publicly that they don't like it, and it didn't work the way they wanted it to. What was that?
I said at least one of the members has come out and very publicly said that.
Yeah, it's not and it's on the Bare Naked in America documentary when they're filming it. He says it there too. But yeah, it's dogs don't see color. And like, does the fish I watched it tonight, like right before, I got on here just so I could, really refresh my memory. And I was like, is the fish walking? Like, does someone throws the fish in the, I was like, no,
Who's the POV on this, right?
I was like, what are you? And then the audio and it goes in and I'm like, the whole thing, it's just, it's the song deserves so much better. This had such an opportunity to be like an amazing video, and then we got that.
And Aaron, I agree with you that like it's an interesting effect and good job band with like recognizing, we've gone underwater, we need to do an EQ change here. And why would you do that to your music that you worked on? And then the public is going to see this. And this is your public perception of your song. Is this? I think it's horrible. I think that it sounds horrible. It sounds like it's underwater. It just like it's underwater.
Well, and it's not the only time they do that though. They do it throughout the whole video.
Well, that's my issue, Jeff. Is if this had been really quick, you dunk the camera in the bowl. And for like a couple seconds, right, it sounds like it's underwater, and then it brings it back out, and it's rocking again, and it's got its full spectrum of the audio EQ spectrum. That would have been fine, but it persists. That effect persists for quite some time, and it got to the point where it was really annoying. It was really kind of bothering me, And I know I'm an audiophile, but it's good for me to kind of be. I feel vindicated by all of your responses, agreeing with me. It's a great song, and why do that? Why dunk the camera in water and have it sound underwater for a significant portion of the song? For a few seconds for an effect, sure, okay, but it's overkill. And my biggest problem with this whole video, when the band first walks in, nobody pets the cat. They just walk right by. How cruel.
Well, and I'm going to have to agree with that. He was disappointed with the filming of this video while it was being shot because he felt like it doesn't capture the feeling of the concept of the song. And I agree. Like my major problem with it is I don't like songs in general or videos in general, where it's like, let's just watch the band play. I don't like that as a concept for a video to begin with, but the idea of doing it in this way, in no way, form, actually brings out what the whole point of this song is. It doesn't accelerate or heighten this song.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. I hate videos that are just the band playing. On the flip side of this, my favorite BNL video is Too Little Too Late. which is an entire story in a song.
Yeah.
And I love that video because it does that, even though it doesn't really tell the story of the song. It tells a story. But yeah, no,
like Falling for the First Time.
I was going to say Falling for the First Time has the band playing, but it still works as a video.
Well, because there's a story behind it.
Yeah.
And there's something that you're watching, and you're watching the story progress as it goes along, and it's interesting.
Not every music video has to be an OK Go event with a Rube Goldberg machine or whatever.
I don't know
like
that.
I enjoy those. I'm just saying not every video has to be that. However, having said that, you should try and do something interesting with it. I mean, otherwise, what's the point, right? You may as well just put up a still image of the album cover and play the song. So,
well, I think they did try and do something interesting, but I don't think it worked enough.
Like I said, there were interesting ideas. I mean, honestly, the camera going into the cat and the dog and stuff, and like going into the fishbowl. Again, I liked that. I wish they had just not milked that so much, maybe. But there were some good ideas here, and there was interesting cinematography and stuff. And like I said, it's not a bad video, but it's just. Well, I agree with what Tracy said. It doesn't really add anything to the song, and at times it's distracting, from the music. It's just the opposite of what you want.
Different pets, and one of which is a goldfish, one of which is a bird, and you're going to do pets that's eyes are on the side of its head instead of straight ahead, and it's going to have a different vision of the world. Then you need to do something interesting visually with that at that moment that's going to make the audience go, oh, wow. And it just doesn't. It just keeps using the same exact effect.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
They all look exactly the same. There you go. That's the hidden meaning of it. It's all been done in the video before.
Yeah, I think dogs see in black and white, right? And cats see a few colors, but less than us.
Right.
You could do like a split screen with the fish with one eye on the left and one on the right. We're just spitballing here. We've already come up with better ideas.
I like seriously, I know it's been like 21 years. I will make a remake of that. Someone give me a budget. I have ideas. It doesn't have to die here.
We'll do a GoFundMe.
I was just gonna say that. Let's fund this because I want this to happen.
We'll make a better video for this.
Yes.
I mean,
but the one thing I would say is it's been said before, but the one thing that really bothers me about this is a fantastic song. This is such a great song with a great story. Why would you distort the song in your video? That bothers me so much. And they don't just do it one time. They do it through the whole thing, the big explosion at the end. Why would you distort your song? I mean, the music video should supplement the music. And that has always bothered me about this video.
Well, and one of the ones they've already somewhat did as a theme in another video, Alternative Girlfriend, that they could have done here and done more really gone full on into it and really been over the top with it to make it humorous, but also just kind of point out the obvious piece about this song is doing pieces of past videos and doing the cliches of past videos to like an extended extent of
that would have been great.
Like, hello, like you've got the name right there. Go with the obvious pun and really play on it.
That's kind of like what they did with Thanks That Was Fun.
Mm-hmm.
That video. And that
would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, that for a video that just uses video clips is really good. They did that really well. I mean, it's better than this video.
Poor Doug Atkin. We are like really railing on this poor gentleman. That was the director of this video.
It's just
I don't know how
disappointing.
Yeah.
Really what it is. And at the end, I was watching it, and at the end, the bird just flies away, and I'm like, that's someone's pet bird that someone just knocked out of a cage that just flew into the night over Los Angeles. Like, is no one concerned about what's going on with that? Are we just someone threw a goldfish in the swimming pool? Like, are these animals surviving?
And That's a chlorinated pool. That thing is dead.
And the cat still has no pets.
So we're more if we're more concerned about the welfare of the animals in your music video, you've messed up.
I will say
you done wrong.
The fishbowl reminds me of there is a video with a fishbowl that's done really well. Radiohead. Tom York put his head in a fishbowl and actually had them fill water.
Yes. No surprises.
Yeah. And was basically singing along as time raced on before. Yeah. That's a good fishbowl. And they did not change the audio on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent fishbowl one.
So I have to say, I've been while we've been talking about this, I've been looking up Doug Atkin, and I think that this was the studio and or producers making a bad choice on a videographer and director for this. He has, from what I see on everything I'm looking here, has no other credits for videos. He's a video artist, like he's an American video artist. So all of his artist stuff that he does is video based, but like you can tell that he's going to take this video and he's going to try to make it something interesting with the video piece of it and try to make it very specific, but it's not going to be a story. So I think that's the problem, is they picked the, nothing against this gentleman. He's done some really interesting stuff, but just not in terms of doing music videos. And I think they should have found someone that could do a interesting story of a music video.
I also wonder, like, if they were to try to film this video now, how improved it would be with just like CGI and technology. Like, you could probably make the idea really cool now, like if you really wanted to. It's still kind of a meh idea, but like for the song, but you probably could do a lot more with it and at least make it look somewhat impressive.
And here's somewhat impressive. What are Tracy's looks right now?
Aaron, I'm gonna blow your flipping mind.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I don't know if we talked about this before or during the show. One of the things that Doug Atkin did for a large outdoor large-scale video installation project for his artwork was he deconstructed I Only Have Eyes for You and created a 3D screen out of the circular facade of the museum.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
No, is that cool? That is just ironic because we were just talking
we were just talking about that song.
So sorry, I just
saw that
and I was like, boom.
That's a small world.
Is it covered?
Well, so again, we had these kind of interesting ideas. I think you saw the seeds of something that could have been really interesting. And as far as, again, not every video has to be a story either, but it should be something, I agree, that enhances the music. And this was distracting.
To your video, the one that really captures my mind, I don't think it tells the story of the video, and I don't think that it really enhances the story of the video, but no one will ever forget it, is that Tom Petty one where Alice and he's cutting the cake.
Don't come around here no more. Yeah.
And like, who is ever going to forget that? No one.
Right.
Like, does it enhance the story somewhat, but no one is ever going to forget that song or that video.
Right. And going off of that, I don't myself, there's been videos out there that have nothing to do with the song, but I've enjoyed them artistically because you did hit on something. Pompeii by Bastille is one that I really enjoy. It has nothing to do with the song itself, but I enjoy what they do, and they enhance the video, I think, my personal opinion. But for a song like this one, where I do think the message is very deep, and we'll get into the lyrics, but I do think the message and the idea is really deep, and musically, such a great song. It just really bothers me that they did make these choices, and one of the biggest ones is distorting the sound of your song. I don't understand what the mentality behind that would be.
Well, and this is the album where they were really focusing. They went to Susan Rogers to specifically have this album produced and engineered so that it would sell to American audiences. And to do this to that album, to do this to this song, I don't see how that pushed forward your narrative of trying to sell to American audiences in a successful way.
Agreed.
Yes.
It's an odd choice.
Well, let's talk about I pulled this away from that for the video. Do we have more to add about the music? I mean, this is really a very typical 90s alt rock type sound. There's no doubt about that. At least I think so. But do we have more to talk about with the sound?
I mean, I think that sums it up. It's very classic. Oh, well, actually, I was going to wait to kind of say this in my wrap up, but I guess I could talk about it now. I'm going to say something here, and if I'm not careful and don't explain myself, I'm worried that this may come across as a negative, but I truly mean this in the most positive sense. It's All Been Done really reminds me of That Thing You Do. You guys remember that flick with Tom Hanks and the one-hit wonder band that never existed?
Very Beatles-ish.
Yeah.
That's perceived as a bad thing. That's an amazing song.
I love that. Well, yeah, I love that song, and I love that movie. But I worry that if I didn't explain myself, I'm known for being cynical sometimes. So I love that song. I love that movie. And it just reminds me of that in as much as, like, that song was written for that movie. And even though it had not existed in the time period that the film was taking place in, it sounded so much like it should have been. It sounded familiar, even though it was the first time we were hearing it. And this is kind of a similar experience. I think this song has that same kind of energy. It's a classic, upbeat, fun rock song. It's unapologetic, and it's executed masterfully. I have mentioned before in this podcast how I sometimes think that there's beauty in simplicity. I think It's All Been Done is a fine example of how simplicity can work very well and be very beautiful. It's just such a prototypical kind of upbeat, fun rock song, and it just works. It's just it's almost like when you go and buy something from a fine craftsman, and it's like you can tell they've been doing this for a long time and they really know what they're doing. It feels comfortable immediately.
And I think that you point out something that's really important, Aaron. And it's hard to portray this as a positive, but it really is a positive in that when I say that it's a basic alternative song, it really is very basic. I mean, there's a lot of key changes. I mean, not key changes, but chord changes. It's all over the place. It's not just a basic 1-4-5. But at the same time, it just has this very... it has a simple sound to it. And I think if you played it for anyone and you asked them what part of the store would it go in, there would be no doubt, like, this is alt rock. At the same time, it's well done. And I think that is it emblematic of B&L and how complex that they can be. And no, but do I think that it reaches out there, puts them on the big stage, and really draws in that audience, especially the American audience that they're trying to pull in at that point, and really get them to listen to the rest of the music? I think that's exactly what this song does. It's the second song on the album, as well as their second release off this album. And I think that's like, in terms of what is this song supposed to do, I think it does exactly what this song is supposed to do.
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, yeah, it was a number 1 in Canada. I'm surprised. Well, it got to number 9 on the top 40 here, but it only got to 44 on the Billboard 100. But you hear a lot. I've heard it quite a bit here and there and things too. I can't remember any of them right now, but like you'll hear it occasionally in the background of other things.
Definitely.
So, Jeff, I think you were away for a moment, but I compared this song to That Thing You Do from the film That Thing You Do. It's got that kind of immediately post Beatles pop rock kind of feel to it, and that song is just kind of you can't not like it. You know, I feel the same way about this song.
I can see that. That was Adam Schlesinger and Chris
right.
Collingsworth from Fountains of Wayne, and yeah, I can definitely feel that kind of Fountains of Wayne feel here as well too. I agree with that.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those kind of infectious little songs. Like,
well, let's talk about the lyrics, because I can see that we've dried up the well of talking about the music with this. We all love it, obviously, but let's talk about the lyrics of this song and what this song's about. Like, so there's a ton of really great, wonderful, and very interesting, I'll say, ideas about what this song is about. Varying from happy vampires that romance over history to reincarnation. So is this song really about Hawkman and Hawkgirl? Really want to know that. Is it about a relationship that fails, but it's sung throughout the analog of history? So like, or is it like just about rock music and how all rock music's been done? What do you guys think?
I've always thought that it's about like two soulmates, like reincarnation, like finding each other in every life. Like you said goodbye, I said goodnight. Like, but like they never quite like meet. Like then it's, you go your way, I go mine, but I'll see you next time. And then then kind of the third verse is once again encountering that same person, but not where they're supposed to be, or not where you're supposed to, or not where you are, rather. So it's like, am I happy that I'm seeing this person for the fourth time in my reincarnation cycle, or am I sad that I'm watching them on The Price is Right and yet again miss them?
And I have a ton of thoughts, so I'm going to let everyone else go first.
I love the theory that this is about reincarnation or about something supernatural like vampires. I personally never took it that way. I kind of always thought it was allegorical, which I could see Stephen in definitely doing that lyrically, making the ideas allegorical. For me, I thought it was about a relationship that starts off pretty strong, but then, like a lot of relationships do, as they go on, maybe there's they reach that stagnancy or that ennui, and they become kind of fizzled out. Before the Fall of Rome could be something significant in their life. I mean, this was done during like the Persian Gulf War, for example. So maybe like the fall of that or something, but some major event that's going on. And so like the first verse being that first date. I met you before the Fall of Rome. I begged you to let me take you home. You were wrong. I was right. You said, I kind of see the progression of a relationship happening here. And then she says, I heard you say the past was much more fun. Like things were so much better, a year ago or 2 years ago. Things were fun back then. They've gotten kind of boring now. It's all been done before. I do ascribe to the belief that if I put my fingers here and if you say I love you, dear, is an entendre. And I feel like you were going to say that. Tracy was going to say that. I do feel like that was an entendre. He does reference the guitar chords, but I feel like it is an innuendo towards...
Oh, never.
It's a Steven song.
The hell you say?
So like, even the sex has gotten boring between us, and actually one of the things I love about this song is will you just yawn and say? For the longest time, I thought that line ended on will you just yawn and say when actually there's that spoken I hate this in there. And I love that idea if it is that she's like, I just hate this. This is done. And
heard of this. I'm done with it.
I'm done with this. I hate this because I think it's probably Ed that says that, right? I think Ed does the I hate this.
No, it's Natasha.
Oh, that's Natasha. Okay, so that's the French part. See, I've always heard is that I hate this too, but okay, I see that. But But then, Alone and Bored on a 30th Century Night. I mean, that does really kind of sell the whole reincarnation thing. I still feel it's allegorical, but I absolutely love the line. My favorite line in this song, and one of my favorite BNL lines, is "Will I cry? Will I smile as you run down the aisle?" When I see you with somebody else, when I see you getting married, how am I gonna feel about this? Because did I let it go? Could I have done something differently? But I've always felt that way about this song. It's just what can you do in a relationship to keep the spark? What can you do in a relationship to keep things fresh? Could I have done something different, or would I just accept the way things are? But so that's how I feel about this song.
Aaron, what about you?
So yeah, the lyrics on the surface are simple and straightforward. It's the song of a couple who's having trouble with feeling like maybe they're stuck in a rut or getting bored, yet they stay together or they keep coming back together. It's also most likely an allegory for the band's relationship to rock music, where they may be feeling like all rock songs are kind of the same deep down. We've had that talk about the axis of awesome, and every single rock song uses these chords, and the 1-5-4, 1-4-5, 4-5-1 progression. But yeah, it's done so well, and it's so enthusiastic and genuine and fun. You have to love it. I kind of underwent the same journey as the couple in the song, right? Where when I first heard it, I started off thinking, I've heard this before. This is familiar territory, both literally and metaphorically, because I had heard the song before. But by the end, I was nodding my head to the beat in spite of myself, and this makes it kind of programmatic on a philosophical level, which appeals to me greatly. While Googling the lyrics, I came across a fan theory that you guys have discussed this, that maybe it was about a couple who are being reincarnated or possibly immortal like vampires. This would explain the various time frames discussed in the song, but I also think maybe that's taking things a little too literally. I think this is the musical interpretation of the Spaceballs combing the desert, if you ask me. But it's fun to think about. Definitely. That would have made a great music video.
So,
better than the fishbowl,
right? So and I know Tracy hasn't gone yet, so actually I'll wait. You go ahead, Tracy.
We're gonna steal all his thunder tonight, Allie. That's what we're doing.
No, I was saying go ahead, because I want to get to the point where you guys come to me and I'll be like, I have nothing to add. It's all been done. Sorry, I set that up for a wonderful
golf clap.
Go ahead, Allie.
He's already planning his pun for the next song right now.
Oh, it's written out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to remember what I was going to say.
My pun just blew that out of your mouth.
Really, that pun was so amazing that I just...
It was so good.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm sorry. Someone else go.
Well, I did actually stumble on something, and hopefully I don't steal a Tracy Thunder moment here, but I did stumble on something when I was looking up some stuff on this song, and I love this little fact, but it might have nothing related, but Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9 is actually the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. And I'm like, that has to have inspired this song, because it does kind of hit the soul of it and reference the actual lyrics of the song. And I love that. The idea that, this is just the same old thing over and over and over, going off on all our interpretations, the reincarnation, it being about modern music or being about a relationship that's gone stale, it kind of sits with that pretty well. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole concept of just everything's been done before, like, basically in this case, like, you were wrong, I was right, you said goodbye, I said goodnight, or you go your way, I'll go mine, but I'll see you next time. Like, it's that, like, inevitability, like, everything kind of is planned out, everything's been done before. It's like how they say there's no new, like, there's only like 4 base stories in literature, and all stories are just like iterations on those templates. To me, it's such a popular idea in pop culture. I don't even know if really the inspiration has to be that deep. I don't know if that's in, I'm not up on my Bible trivia enough to know if that's in the Old Testament or not. But yeah, so I don't even necessarily think it has to be like, I mean, it's probably just inspiration from, what I'm trying to say is, I wouldn't be surprised if it came from just all the references in pop culture and like everyday life, the whole idea of like, you know, am I doing anything new? It's all been done before, that sort of thing. Just because it seems like it's this guy and girl, I would assume, and it's just kind of, you know, she's like, bye, or she's, you know, doesn't pay attention to him. But he's like, no, I know, like, you're the one for me. I'll see you next time around.
And to answer your question, Ecclesiastes is one of the early books of the Bible. It's in the Hebrew Bible. So Steve, being both Jewish and Christian, would definitely know Ecclesiastes.
Okay.
I really love that line. You said goodbye, I said goodnight. I think once again we come to that, and we talked about it before with the music, with the that thing you do, which is very a Beatles-esque type story. Everything is kind of in the movie based on Beatles type music, especially early Beatles. And who can forget that one of the most famous early Beatles songs is Hello Goodbye. It's playing a dynamic of like we're complete opposites and can't even agree on whether or not our relationship will work. And like throughout the relationship, we have one person that is more into this than the other. Now, one of the things that occurred to me on like the 20th listen to this week is that we have these three different periods of history. And I don't think that Stephen randomly just like, okay, this one, and this one. I think that he's very specific when he chooses stuff. And so we have before the fall of Rome. Well, literally, before the fall of Rome, before things went sour, is the Romantic period of history. By definition, the Romantic period of history. It's the part where the Roman Empire was doing well. Things were in their golden years. So, and that's the part of this story where the story starts. Like the relationship is in its golden years. And even then you have this disagreement of like, goodbye, good night, versus like this woman's not totally into it, or this partner's not totally into this relationship. However, the singer, the narrator, is definitely into this and like, well, you'll be back for me. And the narrator is correct, because then we come to the next portion of the story, which is the Wild West, which we think of it as wild. He mentions it as wild, but it's only wild in the way that it looks, and it doesn't work well, and it's not fun. And as the lady says, the past was a lot more fun. This might be wild, but it's boring and it's not interesting, which is what people thought that really lived in the Wild West. Like, this is not a fun period of history to live in. It's not boring, but it's definitely not a fun period to be in. Then we have the future, but they're not together anymore. They've split up. And as you mentioned, Jeff, in terms of the relationship, the allegory, they've now, like, she's with someone else. She's now running down the aisle with someone else. And he's not sure how he feels about that. And I think that once again, like that future of, I don't know how things are going to turn out, and I don't know how what I'm going to think about this confusion and this complexity is there. And I think that Stephen was very specific when he kind of chose those things. I also like the pun that the Price is Right is going to be around over 1,000 years from now. I think that is hilarious. I think that this, and I also love the analogies to sex that are in the bridge. You can't overlook them. It's Stephen writing his best, and like, he doesn't come right out and say it, but you know that's where he's going with this, especially the fingering lines. Come on. He can easily say, no, I meant music. He does not mean music there. There's no doubt about it.
Anyone who's ever been in like a middle school music class when the teacher starts to talk to the woodwinds about their fingering knows. That is something you cannot not laugh at.
Exactly. I have to say that this song, more than most, is really great about one of the things that I like about BNL the most, which they get it right in that he's being allegorical enough, but being specific enough that he's telling this story. But as we've discussed tonight, and as people have discussed for the last 20 years of this song, there's so many different ways that this song can be read into in good ways that we don't know what the true, definitive, down deep answer is, but it connects to something that we all feel. And it's specific enough that we're not like, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. It makes us care about what he's singing about, feel connected to it. And the choice of music, which is this basic alt rock song, connects with that as well. I would say that this is almost nearly perfectly that alt rock song of the 90s, in that it is reaching out, making people feel connected to this song in so many ways.
You know, the other thing about the running down the aisle, it's also a metaphor for marriage.
Yeah, that's why that is possibly my favorite lyric in the song. Is it's such a great little play on words.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could almost be twisted in the fact that she's actually happy now. She's running down the aisle because she's in a relationship that she's happy. She wasn't happy with me.
Maybe.
So how am I gonna?
Maybe she'll be happy with Bob Barker.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I like the whole idea too with The Price is Right, because that is something that's kind of always there and feels like it always will be. You know, we all. I think most of us have that memory of being home from school and with our dad or our mom, and we're watching Plinko.
Due to hyperinflation, the low bid will, instead of being $1, now be $1 million.
If you had $1 million.
If you
yes, bid on this Kraft macaroni and cheese with Dijon ketchup.
I want to see that episode from the year 3000 where the Kraft macaroni and cheese cost $1 million. That has to happen.
I have a weird feeling that Drew Carey will probably still be hosting.
The head. Just the head.
In a jar.
We have referenced, I think, every TV show under the sun tonight.
Yeah, we just got the Futurama reference in with Richard Nixon, right?
Mm-hmm. So, while we're at it, why don't we start deciding some numbers for this song?
Well,
Jim, will you give us... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You have more to add, Allie.
Are we going to talk about David Duchovny?
I was going to throw that into the appearances, but go right ahead.
Okay.
Let's talk Mulder.
The video of him performing with them on the egg shaker, you know, I can't decide what is weirder, that or the actual music video.
I will take that version, actually.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. I would rather have that be the music video.
At least it's entertaining, yeah. It's, I mean, I watched it before I watched the video tonight, and I never realized there's like a part, he gets really into it, and he actually, like, it looks like he almost pushes Steve, and then, like, he, like, runs up to Ed, and I'm like, yeah, annoying them to no end. Like, oh, you're here. I'm coming in with my egg shaker and just gonna get up in your business. Like, I was just like, it was a little cringy to watch.
He set that up weeks ahead of time with the band, though. The band was like, yes, we totally want you to come up on stage with us. Like, we know that you're going to be on that episode. We want you, please come on and do this with us.
Fantastic.
I would love to know if he's actually singing the woo-hoo-hoos too, though, because he's hitting that mic, and I want to know if that's actually, you know, David hitting those notes.
He is. From what I have read, he was actually doing the real singing with them, playing the real egg shaker. It was all live. It was all real.
He's a triple threat.
He really loves that egg shaker. He is like,
yeah.
He was so into it.
It was great. It's so like wholesome to see him just get into it so much.
Yeah.
Just wholesome pop music with that egg shaker.
And he is just dancing. He is like, I'm going to let my freak flag fly.
I mean, I guess if I got the opportunity to be on stage with that lineup of BNL and that song, and I could play the egg shaker, I probably would be pretty happy too. So I guess I can't fault him for that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'd be like, be all on the egg shaker.
Yeah.
This is when he was a big name. Like, to have BNL on the same stage with David Duchovny, that was a huge thing.
Yeah, the X-Files are huge at that point, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, I loved the X-Files as a kid. Like, that was...
And they had just referenced him in the previous song.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true. Yeah, good call.
I'm sure that's why David was like, please, I'm on the show with you. Can I please come up there?
Come play the egg shaker.
Play the egg shaker.
I'm
way cooler than the smoking man.
The next live at home show, no one will hear me on Zoom, but I'm just going to have my little egg shaker just so I can the part thing.
No, we will have that in the appearances, because that I have gone back to watch that more times this week than I did the video. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
There's that young,
because you can actually hear the song.
Yeah. Imagine
and there's something, like Aaron said, there's something joyful about watching David Duchovny having so much fun. Here's this Hollywood celebrity, and he is just enthralled with being on stage with BNL at that moment. Highlight of his life.
Yeah. I am and always have been a huge X-Files fan. And so, I mean, the combination of watching one of my favorite bands with, Mulder performing, it's great to watch. And I absolutely loved it. And yeah, like Allie said, he's having so much fun there. Just shaking out that egg shaker. Yeah, he gets a little forceful with his moves and everything, but but there again, if I was up there with BNL, I'd want to make the most of it.
Yeah. I can't. All right, so Jeff, what are we giving for a rating system tonight? I know what I would immediately be going with, but
what would you go with?
I was going to go with how many egg shakers, but
Plinko chips.
Or Plinko.
I was actually mine. I like those better because I was going to do one that may have come off as a negative thing because I was going to go with fish bowls, but. But since we haven't liked the fish bowl,
I give the video 1.5 fish bowls.
Right, but no, let's go with egg shakers. I'm gonna go off Allie on this one.
All right,
we'll do egg shakers.
How many egg shakers do we give this song? And complete and utter joyfulness. And who's gonna go first, Jeff?
Allie. Let's have Allie go first.
Okay, I give it. I don't tend to give out a lot of 5s, but I'm going to give it a 5 because it's just, I love the song. It's a happy song. There's really nothing wrong with the song. It's an enduring classic that I feel like everybody that gets into BNL has something special about that song. Like, whether it was like the first song, like I know over on the Discord, there's quite a few people who are like, oh, that was like the first song I really got into. Or like that song has like a special meaning to me. And I think everybody just kind of has that reaction. So I'm giving it 5 out of 5 of David's egg shakers.
Of David's egg shakers.
And that sounds really bad, so you can edit that out. I'm giving it 5 out of 5.
No, there's no way that's being edited.
I'll edit it for you, Allie.
Well, I'm going to say David's egg shakers.
I feel like this should be like a band name now, though. Like David's Egg Shakers, like that.
David's Egg Shakers.
Yeah. It sounds like a 90s Britpop band. Or David and the Egg Shakers. David's Egg Shakers.
David's Egg Shakers. I like it.
Welcome, Los Angeles. We are David's Egg Shakers.
Yeah.
And for no other reason, I want to go see that band now.
Right. Yeah. Just for the name alone.
Yeah. All right,
Aaron. How many David's Egg Shakers are you ranking this?
It's a tough one because a lot of my favorite songs are the more dark and brooding ones, or the I'm a big fan of like The Flag and stuff like that. I mean, Alcohol is certainly more upbeat, but it's also got kind of a dark streak to it. I don't know. I can't quite give this a 5, but it is so good. It's definitely in the 4s. I'm gonna have to give it a 4.5 at David's Egg Shakers out of 5. It's really, really good. There's not a lot of room for improvement here. For what it is, it's just fantastic, and it's definitely one that would go on my playlist if we're making our. I think my 4 rated and up songs can go in at the end of this into a BNL recommend playlist, and this is definitely going to be in there.
All right, I'll go. We'll save the host for last, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Going off what Ali and Aaron said, this would easily be on my BNL playlist if I had to pick, the songs that I wanted to have on the playlist. If I was able to pick 10, this would be one of them. I don't know if I'd go quite a 5 for me, but it's dang close because this is a near perfect song. Musically, what Jim does with the bass on this, what Tyler does, this feels like a full band song. Everybody is contributing. Everybody sounds great. I agree. Sometimes I tend to steer towards the darker songs a little bit, the ones that are a little bit edgier with the lyrics, and they do kind of get into this a little bit. Steven's lyrics do get into that a little. But this is an emotional song, and I love that too. I mean, like I said, I interpret this as a relationship that's gone sour and an experience that a lot of us have been through. With that stagnancy of a relationship, and just it's very relatable, and I love this musically, lyrically. I'm gonna go with 4.9 of David's Eggshells.
Wow.
Eggshell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Egg shakers, eggshells. What am I saying?
Well, how do you give half an egg shaker? Because if you cut the egg shaker, everything that shakes inside falls out.
Right?
Then
Yeah.
it's just a shell. So.
Yeah.
Just. Thank you for making me sound good tonight.
You're welcome. I
appreciate
that. That was your plan all along, though.
Totally covered my mistake right there. Yes, 4.9 of David's egg shaker shells.
Egg shaker shell.
Take the outer shell off, and there's still that little bit of skin in there, so you wouldn't shake it, like it still stays intact.
How far are we going to go into this?
I really like this song. I was going through this week. I've already given 10 5s in the course of this show. We are now on song almost 150, episode 150. We're on one song 136, and I've given 10 5s. So can I give this a 5?
I don't think you can use that. I mean, you can use it to compare. Do you like it as much as the other songs? But I wouldn't just by the.
I would definitely say this is in the 4s. This is definitely a song that I would introduce someone to BNL with. I'd be like, "Oh, you've never heard BNL before? Let me play a few things for you." And this is one of the ones that has to be in there. There's other songs on this album that I would cut out. We'll get to those. But definitely
it would be between this and In the Drink, I'm sure.
Well, there's a lot of songs in between those two ratings, that's for sure.
Inline Bowline would be.
That's in between. Yeah, that's in between. So I like this song evenly with Humor of the Situation. I like the darkness of Humor in the Situation and the lyrics of it more. I like the rock song of this. I listened to this 20 times this week, 15 times in a row, spacing it and having a few more in between. It didn't get old, ever. I loved it. My kids didn't go, "Dad, change the song please change the song." Like, it's really enjoyable. It really catches you. I think that, like, in choosing this, had this gone on for a long period of time as that TV show for Baby Blues, had this been the intro, people would not have gotten sick of this week to week to week. For that reason, I've got to give this a 4.7. Like, it's up there. It's really high up there.
4.7 what?
Egg shakers. David's
egg shaker shells.
We're building on this.
Looks like old Aaron, old reliables, drinking the haterade this week. But honestly, when your quote-unquote hater score is 4.5, I think that speaks volumes about the quality of the song. Yeah.
And we don't have Stefan's score in here, so Stefan, please, what's your thoughts? Stefan, what are your thoughts on It's All Been Done?
Well, at first I thought this song sounds familiar. And I was kind of right. It is quite a popular song. And I'm like, this can't be B&L. I'm like, this has got to be like Gin Blossoms or something like that. And it wasn't. It was B&L. But it kind of has that kind of Gin Blossom-y kind of...
It felt familiar, like It's All Been Done?
Yeah. It's like, it's all been done. It's like one of those generic blah, 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 twang, twang, twang. Here we go. Here's a song. But, I like the sound of Steven. Steven he's a good singer. I like his voice. And I really like how, how he sings. I like his tone to his voice. And he could sing a pretty lousy song, but he could make it sound good just from his voice, and he could take lyrics that were kind of unsavory and really make them appealing by how he sings them. But it's good. It's a good song. And I'm just reading over the lyrics, and I haven't fully understood them. But it sounds like you said goodbye, I said goodnight. It's kind of like a breakup song. I think it's definitely a love kind of relationship song. Like It's All Been Done. Like one relationship is like another. And I think he's looking for something new in his life, new in his relationships. And I think he's looking into like cosplay or wearing like animal suits or something of that nature. But he does bring up, The Price is Right. So maybe he wants to have a relationship with Bob Barker or Drew Carey or dress like one of them.
It was Bob Barker at the time. He was still Bob Barker when he wrote the song. So.
Oh, okay. So Bob Barker didn't change into Drew Carey.
No.
Because that's a weird change.
Yeah, totally.
That's a lot of surgery.
Amazing amount of surgery. If that had been the case, that would have been the best cosmic surgery ever.
Bob Barker, you can tell that he's had cosmetic surgery, but that would be it's like cosmetic to a whole nother level.
Obviously, I said cosmic surgery. You said cosmetic, which is the correct word. But yeah, I think that really, in order to go from Bob Barker to Drew Carey, you really would have to have cosmic surgery at that point.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, but it's a good song, I guess. It was on the radio, right?
It was on the radio.
Yes.
It was on the radio.
Yeah, it was single.
It's single. Oh, how can it be a relationship song if it's single? That doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, it's still a good song. Maybe it was in a relationship. Now it's single because it's all been done. And they're like, that's nothing new. It's all been done before. Blah. Relationships suck.
Now, Stefan, how would you feel if you found out that there's an interpretation of the song that is about vampires or reincarnation?
Ooh, that sounds fun.
So the interpretation of the song where it's vampires or reincarnation.
They're vampires or reincarnation, yeah.
So this is like a teenage girl who is bummed about her life and she wants to become a vampire that sparkles.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I like this interpretation. Go.
It might be.
Yeah.
It's
better than Twilight already.
Well, Nothing is like Twilight.
Now I'm going to get the Twilight hate mail, but I mean, Twilight Sparkle is great. Twilight.
Those who like Twilight, you can say, "Oh, he said something nice about it." Those who don't like Twilight, they can be like, "Yeah, he said something bad about that." So it's kind of.
I mean, Twilight Sparkle, totally. But Twilight, no.
Yeah, it redefines girls liking bling altogether.
Stefan, how many egg shakers do you give this song?
Did I hear you correctly? You said egg shakers?
My bad. Yes. Egg.
I give this. I don't know why they said egg shakers. I think it's an average song. You know, it's got a good sound to it. I like how I like Steven. I like how he sings it, and it's a relationship song. So I'd say 3.5.
Well, I can't put two numbers in, bud. So it's got to be one or the other.
Wow.
3.25.
3.25.
Wow.
He's drinking the haterade this week, but that's okay.
Is that bad?
That's
Stefan has weeks that he loves songs. That has weeks. I want him to be honest.
I'm thinking like average is half of 5 is 2.5. So if it's above average, then that's 3.
That's still above
so
average score.
That's about 2/3 of whatever score is. So
yeah,
I mean, I just compared them to Gin Blossom.
So that brings the average to 4.47.
Okay, all right.
So I really brought it down then.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
Really, people really liked it, huh?
I'll
we
be
do.
honest. Like, I gave it a 4.7.
You like it?
Like, I liked it.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
What did I give it?
Dude, don't apologize. You gave it a 4.9. Don't apologize. Like, your opinion is your opinion, and there are people that agree with you.
A 1.2, Stefan. What are you talking about?
Wow, I was not expecting Stefan to rate that so low.
That was completely out of.
That's
crazy.
I think it's just trolling.
About David. He's a nice fellow on the floor.
He is no longer allowed to give any scores. We'll listen to his humor, and that's it. So I do want to put in a bunch of appearances. I mean, this is one of their biggest songs of all times, as we've mentioned. It is a essential that people keep coming back to, that introduced them to this band for a lot of Americans. So I do want to give a lot of appearances. All of them, of course, are very connected to this song specifically, one of which is the David Duchovny playing the egg shaker on Leno. Also, with them doing the whole touring circuit at this time, they came back on Conan, and he's like, you know what? My second week on the show, I had these guys on. I am so incredibly thrilled to have them coming back on again 5 years later. Here's Bare Naked Ladies, and you could tell that he's really enjoying having them there. And so I have that appearance in there as well, and they really do. They rock out this song. If you haven't got sick of the song at that point, there's also Steven playing it himself with a bunch of other bandmates, including Craig Northey, after the Junos. And then there's, once again, if you haven't gotten tired of it, Steven is then playing with the Odds and playing with Kevin joining them. There's another one. And then finally, BNL on the Good Morning America show. They play a number of different songs. They do an interview in the middle, but this is their finisher. So that is the other appearance for this week.
I should point out that Bare Naked ABCs recommends that you listen to all those before you listen to the video.
Yes, please.
True that.
The video.
One thing about that Conan performance is that's actually they show it in Bare Naked in America, and they actually bring one of the disc plaques from Rock Spectac to give to him backstage after.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Allie. Once again, pop culture anthropologist, bringing the information to us about the important backstage information.
Hey, you know what? They made it so. Side note, they made they've made a lot of Conan appearances, but the week that Conan did his show in Toronto and Everything to Everyone came out was just so fantastic. I think they performed another postcard, but just Conan in general, if you haven't watched any of those, I highly recommend them.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of that good connectivity between the Canadians that, I think he really appreciated having them on the show. And
Well, yeah, he's not Canadian.
Conan isn't?
No, he's from Massachusetts.
What?
He's from Boston. He's from Brookline, which is next to Boston.
I thought for sure he was Canadian. Wow.
No, but he does seem like a Canadian.
Yeah, I have eggshell on my face. But I thought the whole South Park movie, the whole thing was... Wow. I have eggshell on my face right now. Please cut that out, Tracy.
No, for that reference alone, I have to put it in.
Oh, okay. Why don't we have Allie on every episode, by the way?
She would be an amazing addition.
Seriously.
She brings something interesting every single time.
Right.
Well, thanks, guys.
She keeps us grounded. We go off the rails a lot less when Allie's here.
Well, guess what, guys? Next week, we are finally down to the last I song. Can you believe it?
We don't.
We have finished the I's. And we're going to start talking we started talking about the I's by talking about all the things that I would do, like I can sing and I don't like. Well, we're going to finish this whole course on a very egotistical focus next week. But it's no big deal because, I'm not really anything special either. It's only me.
I feel like that's a companion to the in the car episode, right?
Now you can use your NHL 2002 reference and be right.
Jeez, ouch. Oh.
I'm sorry. I had to do it. Sorry.
That deep. I have to keep that whole piece in there now. Oh.
This one's going to be nostalgic for me because It's Only Me is literally the song that got me into VNL.
Really? Oh, that's going to be interesting to talk about that. Wow.
It was because, I think I've told the story before, but my girlfriend at the time, back in 2002, was really into hockey, and we got, the NHL 2002 game, and it opens with that song, and I was like, man, this song is amazing, and then we just happened to go down to our big local fair, and Maroon was sitting there, and I'm like, because I had heard one week, and things were kind of there, but Maroon was sitting there, and I'm like, I gotta check these guys out. And I played Maroon, and I wore that sucker out. So it was, It's Only Me is the one that brought me to the dance.
So that's interesting. You listened to Maroon before Disc 1.
I actually did, yeah. I heard It's Only Me on the NHL game, and found a used copy of Maroon, and that's really the first full album I listened to. It's not, it's definitely up there, but it's been surpassed as my favorite my favorite album. But Maroon was the one that brought me to the dance, and so Maroon is really nostalgic for me, and that was the one that really kind of, pulled me in. Even before Gordon,
We could really get into this, but as a past psychologist and Freudian, and I'm not a Freudian, but a person who studied Freud, the fact that It's Only Me was the song that pulled you into Bare Naked Ladies says a lot about you, Jeff.
Why?
Well, we'll discuss that next week.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was a blast as always.
Yep, we hope to have you on the show again.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.